It was a trip that should have been unforgettable for all of the right reasons. A weekend getaway, fresh air, the rugged coastline of California. But for James and Michelle Brotherton, what began as an adventure along the Pacific Coast Highway turned into a chilling mystery. On October 5th, 2014, the couple vanished without a trace, leaving behind only an abandoned car and a bewildered search team. For nearly 4 years, their fate remained unknown until the discovery that no one could have anticipated. What the FBI uncovered years later will haunt you. It was October 5th, 2014, when James and Michelle Brotherton, a couple from San Jose, California, set out for what was supposed to be a peaceful weekend camping trip in the stunning Big Sur area. The Pacific Coast Highway was their route, and nothing indicated that this journey would end in tragedy. Big Sur, a stretch of the Pacific Coast Highway, known for its breathtaking cliffs, towering trees, and sweeping ocean views. The area draws tourists, hikers, and adventurers alike, but it's also an unforgiving place. Rugged terrain and vast, isolated landscapes make it easy to become lost. The Brothertons would soon find themselves caught in the treacherous beauty of this remote coastline. James and Michelle had planned for a simple weekend, hiking, camping, and enjoying the spectacular views of Big Sur. They left their home in San Jose and drove south, excited to escape the everyday grind. On October 5th, they made their first stop at Big Sur State Park, a popular spot for hikers. Around noon, they sent a message to friends saying how amazing the scenery was. That was the last time anyone heard from them. At the park's entrance, they were seen by a few other visitors. Their car, a silver sedan, was parked at the trailhead, and they set off toward the McWay Falls Trail. The trail is relatively easy, with panoramic views of the Pacific Ocean. It's a hike popular with tourists and experienced hikers alike. But after that, their trail went cold. Their friends and family grew concerned when they didn't return by Sunday, October 6th, as planned. Calls to their phones went unanswered. Their social media accounts, usually active with beautiful pictures and updates, went silent. It wasn't like them to vanish without a word. On October 7th, family members filed a missing persons report, and a search operation was launched. Local authorities and park rangers began combing the Big Sur area, focusing on the trails near Big Sur State Park, where the couple had been seen last. The terrain was challenging: steep cliffs, dense forest, and a coastline where the crashing waves and winds made it nearly impossible to hear someone calling for help. A few items belonging to the Brothertons were found near the trail, including a backpack and some water bottles, but there were no signs of the couple. Helicopters and search dogs were brought in to assist, but still no trace of the couple. Their car remained parked at the trailhead with the keys still inside. The search expanded, but each day that passed without finding them made it harder to keep hope alive. Days turned into weeks, and then into months with no answers. Friends and family refused to give up, but the case quickly grew cold. Speculation ran rampant. Did they fall off the trail? Were they taken by someone? Had they decided to disappear on their own? But no one could say for sure. The lack of evidence left investigators scratching their heads. Months passed with no progress, and the FBI was eventually called in. They re-examined the evidence with a fresh set of eyes. Then, nearly 4 months after the couple disappeared, a hiker discovered something. Near Bixby Creek Bridge, a well-known landmark just a few miles south of where the couple's car was found, an abandoned backpack was located. It didn't belong to anyone local. It was filled with personal items: a water bottle, some hiking gear, and a single photo of James and Michelle, likely taken during their trip. But more startling was what the hiker reported after finding the backpack: a distinctive set of footprints. The prints led toward a secluded ravine where a small cave was located. The area had been searched multiple times, yet no one had noticed it before. Authorities quickly mobilized, and a thorough search of the ravine and cave began. What they found in that cave left everyone in shock. Inside the cave, investigators found Michelle's remains. She had clearly been dead for several weeks. Forensic experts determined that her death had not been caused by a fall or any natural disaster, but something more sinister. There was evidence of blunt force trauma on her skull. She hadn't died instantly. She had been incapacitated and left to die in the wilderness. But that wasn't the most shocking discovery. James was nowhere to be found. His disappearance had taken on an even darker twist. How could Michelle end up in that cave? But James remained missing. The FBI realized there was more to the story than anyone had imagined. The search was on for answers, but they had no idea what they were about to uncover. Once Michelle's body was recovered and identified, the FBI launched an intense investigation. The discovery of blunt force trauma led them to suspect foul play. They combed through their personal lives, interviews with friends, family, even previous acquaintances. Michelle and James had no known enemies, and there was no indication that they'd been involved in any dangerous situations. Yet, the case wasn't as straightforward as it seemed. The absence of James posed a critical question. Where had he gone? The timeline of the disappearance was now in question. Had the couple been separated during the trip? Did someone else intervene? Investigators started looking into possible suspects, even though the couple had no reason to be targeted. Could there have been a third party involved? As the investigation deepened, another clue surfaced. The backpack found near Bixby Creek Bridge had once belonged to Michelle. This small detail revealed something crucial. The backpack wasn't abandoned accidentally. It had been placed deliberately. The items inside seemed too organized, too purposeful. More disturbingly, the photo of James and Michelle in the backpack wasn't just a random snapshot. It had been taken by someone else, someone close to them, someone who had been with them that day before they vanished. This revelation was a turning point. If Michelle's death wasn't an accident and James hadn't just wandered off, then the investigation was taking an even darker turn. Through careful analysis, the FBI soon learned that a close friend of the couple, a man named Peter, had been in contact with James just days before the trip. Peter, who had once been a close confidant of James, had fallen out of touch with the couple for some time, but reconnected shortly before their disappearance. Peter had insisted on joining them for the trip, but James and Michelle had declined. Peter was known to have a jealous streak and a history of mental health struggles. As investigators dug deeper into his past, they uncovered troubling reports, including several instances of Peter becoming obsessed with Michelle during their earlier friendship. With Peter's name now at the forefront of the investigation, the FBI began to piece together a chilling picture of betrayal and obsession. Could Peter have been behind the death of Michelle? Had he lured her and James into the wilderness with some darker intent? In early 2018, after years of dead ends, a breakthrough came. Investigators managed to locate Peter and bring him in for questioning. After hours of interrogation, he finally broke down. He confessed that on the night of their disappearance, he had secretly followed the couple to Big Sur, hoping to reconnect with Michelle. What he revealed was horrifying. Peter admitted that he had attacked Michelle in a fit of jealousy before leaving her to die in the cave. James, who had tried to intervene, was knocked unconscious and left for dead as well. Peter then fled the scene, hoping to escape the repercussions of his violent actions. Peter's confession shattered the already grieving family. They had trusted him, never suspecting that someone so close to the couple could betray them in such a horrific way. Peter was arrested and charged with murder and kidnapping. During the trial, the full extent of his obsession with Michelle came to light. He had been spiraling emotionally after his failed friendship with the couple, and his jealousy and rage had driven him to violence. He was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to life in prison. For James's family, the conviction was a bitter pill to swallow. They had lost two loved ones, Michelle to an unjust death, and James to a fate they would never fully understand. Even after the trial, the echoes of James and Michelle's tragic story continue to haunt Big Sur. The remote cliffs, once a place of adventure and awe, now carry a weight of sorrow. The Brotherton family, while relieved to know the truth, will never fully recover from the loss of the couple. James and Michelle had been vibrant, kind-hearted individuals with so much left to give the world. Their deaths, at the hands of someone they trusted, will never be fully understood. In the end, the Pacific Coast Highway remains a haunting symbol of a beauty that can both captivate and consume. The mysteries of Big Sur, like the story of James and Michelle, will linger forever in the shadows of the cliffs.